Oh, what if you could detect cancer 7 years in advance? Sounds like a dream, right? Imagine if we could peek into the future and see the health challenges that lie ahead. Well, it seems we're inching closer to this reality. The world of medical science has recently been abuzz with the discovery of certain proteins in our blood. These aren't just any proteins, mind you. They're potential harbingers of cancer, capable of sounding the alarm way before the disease makes its grand, unwelcome entrance. Well, this might not be a fantasy anymore, thanks to some nifty proteins. Proteins, our body's diligent workers, are now stepping up their game in the fight against cancer. If you've ever wondered what proteins are, think of them as the diligent office employees of our bodies. They're the ones clocking in every day, doing all sorts of jobs, from building and repairing tissues to making enzymes, hormones, and other body chemicals. You could say they're the jack of all trades in the cellular world. Recently, proteins have been thrust into the spotlight due to a ground-breaking study from the University of Oxford. The researchers put on their detective hats and discovered something fascinating. They identified 618 proteins in our blood that are linked to not one, not two, but 19 types of cancer. It's like finding a secret code in a spy novel, only this code could potentially provide early warnings for cancer more than 7 years before diagnosis. Let's simplify this. Imagine you're trying to predict the weather. You could look out of the window and guess, or you could use a sophisticated weather forecasting system that uses hundreds of indicators to predict the weather accurately. These proteins are like those indicators, giving us a heads up about possible storms in our bodies long before they hit. Now, if you thought proteins were just those things bodybuilders chug down to bulk up, well, you're not entirely wrong. But as we're learning, proteins are proving to be so much more. They're like the quiet, hard-working employees who suddenly save the day when you least expect it. So proteins aren't just good for building muscles. They might also warn us about cancer way ahead of time. Now, before we start celebrating and throwing protein parties, there are a few things we need to consider. The implications of these findings are certainly enticing. Imagine being able to detect cancer more than 7 years before diagnosis, just by analyzing proteins in our blood. It sounds like something out of a science fiction novel, doesn't it? It could revolutionize early detection and prevention measures, potentially saving countless lives. But let's not get too carried away. There's still much to learn. There's a long road of medical research ahead. It's not exactly a stroll in the park, more like a marathon through a dense jungle filled with unexpected turns and occasional quicksand. We need to determine the reliability of these proteins for prevention and treatment. And let's not forget, every silver lining has a cloud. Altering these proteins may impact cancer risk, but it could also lead to unintended side effects. Picture this. You're enjoying your morning coffee, only to find you've suddenly developed a strong aversion to caffeine. Okay, maybe not that drastic, but you get the point. Moreover, these findings are based on data from over 300,000 cancer cases. While that's a significant number, it's a mere drop in the ocean compared to the global population. We need to be careful not to generalize these findings too quickly. As exciting as this is, we can't get ahead of ourselves. After all, it's a long journey from the lab to the doctor's office. So, where does this leave us in the grand scheme of things? Well, in the vast and intricate world of medical research, we are making strides, one protein at a time. This recent finding from the University of Oxford is a testament to that. These diligent scientists have discovered over 600 proteins, the unsung heroes in our bloodstream, that could potentially flag the onset of cancer more than 7 years before diagnosis. Imagine that. These proteins are like the fortune tellers of our bodies, giving us a heads up about the future. They're saying, hey, you might want to check this out. I'm just a protein, but I think something's up. But let's not forget, these findings, while promising, are still in their early stages. Further research is needed to confirm the reliability of using these proteins for prevention and treatment. So, while we're not quite at the stage of having a crystal ball for our health, we're certainly on the right track. And who knows what the future holds? Maybe we'll have protein parties where we celebrate these microscopic marvels for keeping us in the know. It's important to stay informed about these advancements. After all, knowledge is power. And in this case, it could even be the power to detect cancer early. In the meantime, let's appreciate our proteins a bit more. Who knew they were such multitaskers, right?